Hello, this is Angela Anderson, and today I thought I'd show you how to do this painting. It's really simple and fun, easy floral landscape. There's an artist that does these way better than my example. Her name is Yvonne Coomber, and I got this off of Pinterest. Fell in love with her artwork completely. So fun and colorful, and so I adapted it for my kids' art class to let them try it, and they had a blast. This was super fun for them. All we have to use is Q-tips, a fan brush, or just some toothbrushes, and a round sponge and a sponge brush. And that's it. That's all we used for we didn't use any regular brushes. And let me get started and I'll show you how we did it. I've got a canvas panel here for this one. The ones that we did in class were 8x10 canvases, but the canvas panel is fine for this if you want to use. I just had a leftover one I'm going to use today. And the first thing we're going to do is wet down our large sponge brush a little bit, and I kind of started by wetting down these paints too to soften them up. And I'm going to wet down my canvas with some spray. And then starting with the darkest color on the bottom here, I'm going to start oops, my canvas is spinning. Trying to keep this canvas so you can see what I'm doing here, but it's a little bit awkward. Okay, then I'm gonna pick up a little bit more water and come in here with this yellow and maybe get some of this red and put that in there. And they're blending. Don't over blend it. Squeeze out the extra. I've kind of cleaned out my brush a little bit, and I'm gonna pick up some blue now. Do the sky part, and this is very watery. You can see how it's kind of running. Okay, so I'm just gonna do like that, and then on that horizon line I'm gonna put a little bit, I'm gonna squeeze out my brush again in water. Not really cleaning it out, I'm just kind of squeezing out the extra paint, and then I'm picking up a little bit of white, and I'm just going to go along the horizon with a little bit of white and blend that up just a little bit, and that'll kind of soften the colors. If you use a light color on your horizon, it could be a yellow or just any kind of a lighter color. It gives the illusion of depth. So I would suggest doing that. I'm going to pick up a little bit of yellow too and come in here with some yellow, getting some blue down in my thing. This part doesn't really matter that much because this is all going to be covered up with your flowers and such. So I'm not too concerned with it looking perfect. I'm going to get a little bit more blue. I've run out of my blue. Pick up a little bit more blue and go back in here. Just make sure that's nice and dark. Okay, and my horizon line is coming down about a little bit over a third of the way, not quite halfway down my canvas. I'm going to take that out of I'm going to come back in here and just blend through that just a little bit. Okay, and you don't have to mess with this too much. Like I said, it's just kind of, you want a little bit of a graduated color. And then I got this round sponge brush and I just set it wherever I want my sun to be. Set it on there while that paint is still wet, and it'll lift off some of the color. It's got I have put a little bit of water in this brush or this sponge, but not a lot. So I'm going to get a little bit of that out so it'll sop up some of that color a little bit better. There we go. So we got a nice sun now, where we want that to be. And then I'm going to take and clean that out in my water. And I'm going to pick up some of this. My palette is a mess right now, sorry. I'm going to pick up some of this yellow. I'm just going to set it in here. If my palette wasn't such a mess, I would have laid this whole thing down in it, but I didn't want to get it too much. And then I'm going to kind of go outside the edges just a little bit, just to kind of blend it so it doesn't look quite so harsh. So I'm picking up too much blue there. So I'm going to turn it over to the clean side and kind of sop up some of that blue there. That's good. I'm just going to leave it like that. And I think I might even use a little bit, this is still wet, I think I might even use a little bit of salt and see if that does anything interesting in that background. The salt can make kind of interesting effects on wet paint. It'll pick up some of the pigment as it dries. And I found margarita salt is actually the best kind because it's a little bit coarser than regular table salt, and it has an interesting flakiness to it. But you can use regular table salt if you want. I'm going to let this dry, and I had hair dryers in class that we used, and I'll come right back. Okay, I'm back, and this is dry now, and I want to show you what it looks like when I take that salt off of there. I'm just going to rub it off. It works better on paper, this technique. Kind of looks like clouds or something in the background. You don't have to do that part if you don't want to, but did a little bit down here too. Okay, so that's our background. And like I said, you don't have to be super careful with this part. The main thing is just to find some colors that'll blend nicely and do something light in the middle, something darker down toward the bottom, and at the top. You could even use the yellows and oranges in the sky if you didn't want to do blue. And I let my kids in my class just choose whatever colors they wanted to use. And it helps them learn color blending and that kind of thing. Okay, so that's really the hardest part of this. The rest of it is all fun. Now this, I should have warned you before I started this that this project is super messy. So you will want to be sure that you're doing this in an area that you've got covered well, and it's protected, the floor's protected and everything, because you're going to be splattering and it will get everywhere, all over clothes and everything. So I have lots of paper towels on hand. All right, I just took and I grabbed a bunch of different colors, and this is one of the times that I do prefer using a craft paint. I call these little bottled paints craft paint versus these that would be considered artist quality paints that are thicker bodied. These are thinner, the craft paints are thinner, and they work well for this technique in the splattering because you have to add water to get the paint to splatter. So the craft paints are already thin down before you start. So what I do is I dip my toothbrush into some water, and then I take and pick up some color. Take it over to the plate and just scrub that color into this. And you want to be able to see through the color, so as I'm scrubbing here I can see I can't really see through that. So I'm going to pick up a little bit more water and bring it back in here until I can start seeing through it while I'm scrubbing. Now I can see through the plate, and that's when you know it's kind of ready. It should be drippy. Okay, so I'm going to tap that off and take a paper towel and just touch it lightly on there once. I'm going to set these other colors out of the way. I use my thumb, but you can take another brush if you want to keep your thumb clean, and point your brush down in the direction that you want the splatters to go, and just flick with the brush. And if you can see, it's starting to make all these interesting little splatters everywhere. Okay, once that color's gone, ooh, I got one right in the sun. If you get something like that and you don't like it or it's too big, you can dab that off with a paper towel. And if you wet it down, you can even get more of it off. You know, say it's a little bit too dark or whatever. I don't mind these up here, but if your kids get one like that and they don't want to keep it, they can just, if they get it right away before it dries, and you have to be sure that the bottom canvas is completely dry, because if this yellow was still wet, it would pick up the yellow also when you did that. So I'm going to clean this green out now, and I think I'll pick up a dark purple. I'm going to do some darker colors in my splattering. I'm picking up some of this dark purple on my toothbrush, and I'm coming back over to my plate, and that's going to be fine. I can see the color through it, and this time I'll show you what it does with my thumb. When I do my kids this way with my, if they use their thumb, I have them hold it upright like this, facing their thumb, and then I have them turn their hand upside down and then rub their thumb across the bristles. I find that I have more control this way than with the brush, but that's up to you. It does get your thumb nice and dirty and get paint up under your fingernail that you can't get out. So if you want to keep your hands clean, you can use the brush. And I got a little drop of water here that I'm gonna pick up. Okay. So, and you can do this as much as you want. I let the kids choose, and they just kind of went to town with the splattering. They loved it. I think I'll do a whitish yellow. I think that'll be pretty. I'm going to use this white that was already on my plate over here. And then I'll just pick up a little bit of this yellow. And again, I'll just use my thumb. Oh, that's pretty. And I'm kind of pulling it in. Make sure that you're pointing the toothbrush straight down or in the direction that you want it to go. So if I want it to kind of splatter that way, I might angle it a little bit in that direction. But, okay, that's good. I think I'll do one more with another green. Maybe do one of these brighter greens. A little bit more water. There we go. And then let's get some of that going on in there. Oh, that's cool. I like that. Okay. And I try to keep them away from doing it all the way up to the top. I try to keep the splattering in this kind of bottom 3/4 of the painting. Just because that's where your flowers are going to end. Your flowers will probably end right about in here. So you don't want too much of the splattering going up super tall. But, okay. And I would do this until this background kind of starts to disappear a little bit, and just keep doing it until you still should be able to see the colors through, but you shouldn't be able to see like these little streaks in here and stuff. So I would just keep adding colors until it looks like that's kind of going away. I think I'll maybe add some, I've got that red over here still. Let me add some of that. Might even add a little bit of this purple to it. That may be too watery. There we go. Okay, that's good. Oh, goodness, that is watery. That's what happens if it gets too watery. That's all right, I'll just make that into a flower or something. There we go. Pretty. Okay, I think I like that. I'm gonna let that dry and I'll come right back. Okay, and now for the fun part. This is where the Q-tips come in handy. I just had the kids use these, and think about the fact that the flowers will, we talked about perspective a little bit and how the flowers at the bottom are going to be closer to you, so they'll look larger, and the ones that are up here are going to look smaller. So you'll want to do your biggest circles and flowers down in here, and then as you get up to the top, you're going to make them smaller and smaller as you go. So, and you could do this, you could pick a color of flower, like if you wanted to do poppies or something like that, you could do all of them red. You could do like a greens in the bottom part here and do the whole field of just red flowers or something like that if you wanted to. But I let the kids choose their colors themselves. I'm just picking up color on the end of the Q-tip, and then I'm just gonna make several dots. And we talked about spacing them out so that all the colors aren't, you know, grouped together, that you've got a variety of colors and that it's balanced, so you don't have like all your reds over here and all of your yellows over there. You've kind of got a balanced composition. And then as you touch, each time you touch it, there's less paint on there, so your dots will be smaller. If you do a large one here and then you just kind of touch it up here once or twice, then you'll have smaller dots. And then what you can do is take a paper towel and pull off that paint. Now you've got an even smaller little section, and you can do even smaller little dots with that part if you want to. Okay. Okay, so I've got a few reds on there, and I'm just going to probably speed this part up at this point because I probably don't want to have to see all this going on. It is kind of time consuming, but it's actually really fun, and you can just use if you want a really large one, you just kind of circle it around a little bit to make them larger. Okay, now that I've got my base down, I'm going to take some of these Q-tips that I've used and tear the stuffing out of them so that I can use them for the centers of the flowers. And I didn't bother waiting for them to dry. I just used these and went over the top of them with your centers. And they should cover okay. If they don't cover, you can kind of wiggle them around a little bit. Or you can take your hairdryer and let them dry first and then do this step if you want to. And I just did a variety. I didn't necessarily stick to one, you know, all of the pink centers have a purple center too. I did that a little bit though. I mean, you may want to talk about that with your students and see if they want to keep the centers the same so that they look like the same flower that's been repeated all through. But you can get as creative as you want with this. That's a great part about this kind of project, is it's very open-ended. The kids can make it personal and get as detailed as they want with it. So I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to speed this up again so that you don't have to sit here and watch me do all of these centers one by one. We'll do time lapse of it. Okay, here's my finished painting, and as you can see, I didn't worry too much about everything being perfectly and circular or anything like that. I kind of went back and made some of them bigger after I did it because I noticed that they were all too perfect. I wanted, you know, kind of some variety of sizes in here. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. I would love to see if you try this, what you come up with, and thank you for watching. Bye.